The MMA community has officially gone insane. Yesterday, Colby Covington was on the PBD podcast. On that podcast, not only did he continue to insult Leon's father after everything was said and done, garbage move, but he also revealed that he broke his foot within the first 30 seconds of the fight and used that as an excuse as to why he performed so poorly. And now we have a bunch of boobs and nincompoops all over online MMA community who are Colby fans saying, okay, well now he should get an immediate rematch against Leon Edwards because of the fact that his foot broke in kind of a fluke accident. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think that he should get this immediate rematch? And do you think that this is legitimate? Or is he just making another excuse on the pile of excuses that he's already made as to why he lost to Leon Edwards? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ultimate Punching, the ultimate MMA channel. I've looked at the data, guys. Hundreds, if not thousands of you are watching my content. Hundreds, if not thousands of you are watching it repeatedly. But only like 5-6% of you are hitting this subscribe button. I am sure that you live by a code of honor. And if you do, I need you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps me grow the channel and it helps with the YouTube algorithm. What the hell am I saying? So anyway, Leon Edwards beat the shit out of Colby at UFC 296. And after he said that, oh, he broke his foot in the first 30 seconds of their fight, he wasn't able to perform like his normal self. And I gotta say, I call bullshit. I really do. And the reason why is because he made no mention of this during his post-fight interview with Joe Rogan. He used the excuse that, it's ring rust, I didn't feel like myself, etc., etc. And it was the same thing at the post-fight press conference. He didn't mention anything about his foot being broken. Now, I'm going to extend an olive branch. If that is true, that indeed he broke his foot, that could be legitimately why we saw him fight like a complete amateur in essentially the first 3.5 rounds of that fight. During the last half of round 4 and the round 5, we saw the old Colby, the guy who was in your face, relentless with takedowns, different things like that. And I thought that was going to be the guy we saw throughout the whole fight. But he didn't really shoot for a takedown until round number 3. And during rounds 1 and 2, he just stared at Leon and essentially tried not to get picked apart, which he failed. So what I need to say is this. I was rooting for Colby that fight. I wanted him to win. I thought it would make things interesting. I thought it would make the welterweight division more interesting. But what I think happened is the guy fumbled the bag. He put a ton of pressure on himself with the trash talk. He put a ton of pressure on himself with all this Trump and MAGA and all this nonsense. The president being there, the president going to wrap the belt around him. That compounded with his ring rust, everything like that, I think. And Leon is just that good. You know? Leon is just that good. And it made him look terrible. So let's move on. Colby should not get another title shot ever, in my opinion, unless he can steamroll other welterweights at the top of the division. If he can beat Shavkat, if he can beat Bilal Muhammad, if he can beat Gilbert Burns, and I'm talking, 2-3 wins in a row before he's even in the conversation again for a title shot. If it turns out his foot was legitimately broken, right? Even if that was the case, I still don't want to see him get a rematch with Leon. Absolutely not. Let's keep the ball, keep the things moving. Out with the old, in with the new. Colby era is at an end. He's 35 years old. If his foot indeed was broken, it'll be at least 6 months before he fights again. Probably a year. More inactivity. You know, the division will be on hold again. It's something I am not interested in. One of the fights I would like to see the most, to be honest with you, I mean, I think Bilal Muhammad deserves the next title shot against Leon, but if for whatever reason he gets snubbed, which I think is quite likely, I'd like to see Bilal Muhammad and Colby fight. I think there's enough bad blood there. Colby on the mic will be relentless and make it, you know, really interesting. Build that fight up, make it sell. And Bilal Muhammad isn't too bad on the mic himself. So I think the trash talk between the two of them will go really, really well. And I think it would be a really competitive fight. But Colby called out Wonder Boy, so who the hell knows what's going to happen there. But ultimately, my point is this. First of all, I think that whole I broke my foot is kind of a bullshit excuse. Because why didn't he mention it, you know, in the thing with Joe Rogan? Why didn't he mention it in his post-fight press conference? He didn't mention it either of those times. So he mentions it on the PBD podcast yesterday, when it took him a few days to just come up with that excuse. It's ridiculous. And then he's like, oh, I didn't win the fight because I'm a Trump supporter. Come on now. If anything, if this organization is rigged, if fights get rigged, right? It's going to be rigged in Colby's favor because the guy's a star. The guy, you know, gets people interested. The guy's the heel. So the UFC wanting him to win, like, that is the most obvious thing. But how many times have we seen in, like, the last year, the guy that the UFC wants to win loses? And that was the case with Colby. He put on a shit performance. He was absolute garbage in there. And he didn't really start to fight like himself until, like, the second half of round 4 and all of round 5. And by then it was too little too late. He stared at Leon while Leon picked him apart for 3.5 rounds. So I don't want to hear this shit anymore. No rematch is necessary. Let's move on.